Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Wolves, and welcome back to the Sell, Loan, Keep series, where we sit down and have a look at the existing Wolves squad from the 21-22 season and rate whether they should be here next season or whether Wolves should be looking to loan them out. My name is David Zapardi. Alongside me today, we've got Mr. Matt Cooper. Matt, how are you keeping?
Very well, thank you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. And we've got Mr. Finn Morris. Finners, how's it going?
Yeah, all good, thank you, Spur. Been a quick year back around.
And I was going to say, it's been obviously a year. It was a really popular series last time out, so obviously appreciate that, and hopefully it's going to be the same. As always, let us know your thoughts on our decisions in the comment section down below, and we are going to be kicking off with the goalkeepers and defenders today, and over the next 2 days, we're going to be doing obviously the midfielders and then the forwards. So lads, let's jump straight into it. He won the Wolves Player of the Season, so I'm pretty sure I know what everyone's answer is going to be to this, but Mr. Jose Sarr. Matt, are you keeping Sarr for next season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the whole he's been excellent. There's a couple of times where I've thought that his decision making has been a little bit rash, and it has cost us more so with rushing out of his box and conceding penalties. And then there was an incident with the Man City game where I thought it was a little bit reckless. But on the whole, mate, I think he's been excellent. I think the fact that you look at our kind of expected goals against and how many goals we've actually conceded, and he's one for the statisticians, but like his post shot, post save, XG, whatever it is, like through the roof. So, and nine goals prevented this season. The next keeper in line after that was Alisson with 2. So he's by far and away the most productive keeper. So absolutely keeping. And I think that, you know, as Wolves fans, and I think we're critical of this too. We kind of almost bash the club for particular signings, but I feel like this signing should really be celebrated. We brought him in for less than from what Ruddy went for, and he's been excellent.
Yeah, I fully agree. Finn, what do you think of Sarr?
Yeah, it's an easy one. It's a tap in to start the video. Obviously, keep him. I think, like what Matt's saying as well, to go even further with stats to really annoy people that aren't a fan of him. Like I saw an expected points table today as well, and we were one above relegation. We were 17th for that. So the player that stops those sort of things, obviously we can score up the other end as well, but the player that's made that difference from 17th to 10th, was it in the end? It's got to be Sarr. Unbelievable signing. As you say, a younger, fresher model from Patricio. You've made money and got a younger, better goalkeeper in for me. So brilliant signing all round.
Yeah, so that is a definite keep. An easy way to start us off. Next player is John Ruddy. Now, it has been confirmed as of today. I mean, Ruddy confirmed it on his Instagram at the start of the week that he was going to be going. The club have now confirmed it. In an ideal world, Finn, to say, you know, the contract was on the table and you had to say yes or no to John Ruddy staying at the club, would Ruddy have been in your plans for next season?
I think it's best for all parties the way that it's gone. It's just confusing that Bruno literally said last week he wants to keep him, and now all this has happened very quickly. But yeah, for me, I think when you see the amount of young goalkeepers coming through, and then there's rumours of us looking at another one, I think to give them the backup role, I suppose doesn't help much with development when you're only going to get a few cup games and maybe the under-23s. But Sarkic has impressed since he's come back. So for me, if he wants to get another starting role somewhere before he retires, he's still got a few years in him. And I don't think it was helping him. He always looked rusty, didn't he, every time he came in for a cup game? It was like, God, if he'd have had 5 or 6 games, maybe he'd have saved that. So all round, I think it's probably right.
Yeah, phenomenal. Almost servant to the club. Matt, 5 years he's been at the club. Great season in the Championship. But do you think it's the right time for him to move on?
Yeah, echoing what Finn said there as well. I feel like it's a little bit strange that he announced it first on his Instagram, and the way he said it as well was like, it looks like I've played my last game. Like there was almost a bit of uncertainty, or I don't know. I feel like that's been born out of angst, really. The fact that he's put that, but we don't know. Like Finn said, Bruno said that he wanted to keep him, and here he is. But yeah, I'm not fussed either way. He's probably on a fair bit of money as well at Wolves, you know, and probably bringing someone like Sarkic. I mean, if Sarkic is happy playing second fiddle, then absolutely do that. So yeah, big loss in terms of the dressing room, but in terms of ability and what he brings to the team on the pitch, I'm not really fussed.
Yeah, so I agree with you too. I think it's probably the right time for him to go. And I mean, the last couple of years, it sounded like he's wanted more regular first team football. There's been a couple of comments this season about it as well. So I think you're probably right. Just get him maybe one last move for his career, maybe a little bit closer to home, and we'll see what happens. Matt, you mentioned Matija Sarkic just then. Had a very good season at Birmingham City. It's come back to Wolves recently, played the last couple of under-23s games. You mentioned him possibly being a number 2 there, but with how well he did at Birmingham, do you think he should be getting more regular football, maybe a loan move out next season?
Potentially. It depends what the club really want to do with him. Do they want to, he's still fairly young, isn't he?
Yeah.
Still, what is he, like 22, 23 maybe?
Yeah, early 20s, yeah.
Yeah. Depends what the club want to do with him. I mean, if someone puts the money up, you flog him, don't you? I know Birmingham fans are really keen on having him back, and I think it speaks volumes that he won his their player of the season. I don't think he played a game after 30th of Jan. So yeah, I think if the money's right, then sell him. And yeah, I'd say sell him. I'd say sell him. I think.
I mean, it's hard to put a value, but what you be saying? A couple of million, or
I'd say 4 or 5 million. I think.
How much?
I think. Yeah,
he's bringing that one.
Yeah.
I saw.
What do you reckon? It's all about me. I think you've got to put your bollocks on the line.
I think that's. I don't know. I get your point. I think he had a good season, but I don't know if it's so hard to value players, championship players at the minute, because you do see some go for mad amounts, but. I don't know. I would probably loan him out next season personally. I think, he's a very capable goalkeeper, but I think he's almost, no disrespect to our number 2s, I think he's at that age now where he should be playing more often. I think he's too good to be, or too promising to be a number 2 at the moment. Finn, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm stuck between all 3. If you could get that much for him, a loan would probably help him more to develop, and then he'd probably be a handy backup keeper for next season as well. I don't know what we're going to do with the backup keeper situation. I don't know because we could either do the sort of Man City and get a Carson in to tick off the sort of domestic rules, but then that's kind of what we had with Ruddy anyway. So then you just find another Ruddy. So I don't know. I'm if we could, when we do the colours on it, Dave, just do him all 3. Do him loan.
Rainbow
really
Sarkic.
Yeah.
I think we need to make a definitive answer. I would say loan him out.
I'm happy with that.
That's in the middle, yeah.
It's in the middle. Yeah. We'll do that. So Sarkic loan out. I mean, our first big debate there. So there we go. We're going to move on to the defenders now. And one that I don't know if it will split opinion, not had a fantastic season at Wolves, Finn, but Mr. Ki-Jana Hoever obviously came in from Liverpool. There was a news earlier this season they expected to be challenging Semedo a lot more for that, right wing back spot. Since Jonny's come back, he hasn't really had a sniff, and obviously had a fallout with Bruno. What's your stance on him for next season?
I can see the cogs turning in Finn's head here, because I know exactly what Finn's thinking. He Finn backed Hoever at the start of the season to be a player who have a surprisingly big impact on the team. Is that what you're thinking, Finn?
He had an impact at a certain point. I can't believe it. I need to go back and listen to that. I can't believe I said that, But no, yeah, certainly had an impact around that. When was it? Around Christmas time, maybe even later than that. Yeah. But it's not looking good with that one. It effectively makes the Jota deal more to like 30 million, doesn't it? Because if you were going to sell him on now, or maybe like 35 million, because we've had a bit of a stinker with it. He hasn't really had the chance to play. When he hasn't looked great. Whether he backed himself to sort of be beating Semedo by now to that position, I don't know. It's a really strange one, but he came in for a considerable amount of money and just hasn't worked. What is he on? 22, 23 now? Maybe he's a bit younger than that. 21, I don't know. I think I'll probably loan him out, because if you've got Jonny and Semedo for that position, there's no point keeping him around.
Only 20.
I thought he was older than that.
Oh, well, it's still promised there then.
Yeah, he's still 20.
I think a loan.
Yeah, I thought he was a little bit older, to be fair. So, yeah, still plenty of time. I think we've just not seen enough of him, have we, Matt? I mean, he had that game. I think he started right at the start of the season against Leicester, if I'm correct.
He was all right at Leicester.
Yeah, he missed out on the cup game against Sheffield United due to, I think he was ill. He had COVID. And the games he has played, he's sort of been thrown in at the deep end, such as Liverpool, where a lot of people thought, and me included, thought he was probably at fault for their goal. And then Bruno sort of chucked him under the bus for that months later as well. Finn's probably right. Do you think a loan move is going to be beneficial for him next season?
I think so, yeah. I'd imagine he's probably made up with Bruno as well since those comments. I know Bruno said he spoke to him since. I think a loan move to the Championship would be perfect. I'm not sure what the club's plan was with him when they signed him, though, because there was almost kind of like rumours that they brought him in to be a centre half. But
Yeah.
I don't. He's only 20. He's still got to fill out a little bit. But I don't see that in him. I think a low move will do him the world of good with maybe the view of selling him on, because I've not seen enough personally. I think the West Ham game for me, I'd made my decision about him.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was looking. I was doing a bit of research before we did the end of the season podcast, looking back at what we were saying at the start of the season, and I know that both of us, Dave, said after the Coventry game, the Rico, how bad he was, and we were like, we're not really sure what he offers. But then, like at Leicester, he was all right. But I think a low move. I mean, if someone came in and we could recoup the money, absolutely. But I don't think any club's daft enough to do that based off this season.
No, I think alone. I could see him doing quite well in the Championship or something of a similar level. But I think you are right. When I spoke to some Liverpool fans when we'd first signed him, they saw his future as a centre back. Yeah. But I think you're right. He's not maybe in a back three, but he's only sort of 5'11", like you say. He probably does have to fill out a little bit more as well. So yeah, I think a low move is definitely beneficial. I'm surprised he has played a handful of 23s games, but I'm surprised he's not played a lot more. But I suppose with the size of our squad at the moment, that's probably why that's not happened. So I think we're all in agreement there of a low move out. Matt Ryan, Ait-Nouri, first season as a permanent Wolves player, and although he's been in and out of the team, it's been pretty decent for him, would you say?
Yeah, I think he may struggle a little bit with his fitness. Because for me, he should be starting every week. I think offensively he's getting better. Honestly, I think defensively he's probably one of his stronger points. I think he's excellent defensively. You know the way he's pocketed Salah this season, and he's very silky with the ball at his feet. I don't know what it is about like Algerian born or French born Algerians. Like it's just technically unbelievable. Must be something in the genes, mate. But yeah, I'd keep him. I know there was with PSG looking at him.
Yeah.
What? And I asked you this, Dave. What price do you sell him at?
What did we buy him for? Was it 10? Was it 10 million?
10 or 11 million, yeah.
10 with was it 50% thing, that we still have to buy?
Yeah, that was
buy
it.
it out though.
We can buy it out. I don't know. I think he's potentially he's huge, but if I would value him at maybe like 25 million quid at the minute.
Really?
What do you think? That would be too much, or just because of the potential? I think even the Liverpool game last weekend, I thought on the ball he was so good.
Yeah, he just like he finds space on the ball, even in tight areas. Yeah, I mean, he's 21 in a couple of weeks. I'd probably value him at 30, 35, especially if the likes of PSG are calling. You can almost bump him 5 million on, can't you? So I wouldn't want to sell him though. I think he's a great addition to the squad, but I'd like to see him, and I think we'll come on to this. I'd like to see him and Giles have a go next season, and put Jonny back on the right personally.
Yeah, so I think it's a resounding keep, Finn, but are you in agreement with that as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that left back area is a real promising area, especially with Bueno in recent weeks as well. Going from nowhere, good again last night. So yeah, it's a really healthy competition for that space, but he's the number one for me for now.
Yeah, I mean, another player that has been sort of in and out of the squad alongside him is Marcal, Finn. Bruno pretty much confirmed last week that he's going. I believe Brazilian club Botafogo are looking at him. But again, similar situation to Ruddy. If the contract was there and you had to say yes or no, would you be keeping Marcal for next season?
I don't think so. I think he served his purpose. I thought when we brought him in, we'd see him much more as a left-sided centre-back in a 3. Hasn't really happened. And to be fair, he hasn't been awful. There's been a few games this year where I've actually been quite impressed, but at the age he is, there's no point now. I think that Brazil move works well for everyone. Yeah,
I was going to say, Matt, I mean, there have been people that have been disappointed with him, and I think he's one of those players, he's not the best player in the team, but he's by no means the worst either, and he hasn't dropped many dreadful performances, but they've all just been okay. It's probably the right time to move him on, though, isn't it now?
Yeah, he's been steady. I don't think he's done that much wrong, but I also don't think he's, gone above and beyond in what he does. But predominantly a centre half. If you stick him at left wing back in a 5 and ask him to bomb forward, he's going to be like a fish out of water. But I think the fact that he's actually made out of poppadoms doesn't help either. So,
to be fair, he's had a pretty injury-free season this campaign, hasn't he?
Remember when on his Instagram that he said he'd had an operation in the pub?
Yeah.
Lost in translation.
We signed him, and he just done like a karate kick that season on someone, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, we signed in some absolute."
Well, he said before the Tottenham game, "I want to kill Tottenham."
Yeah.
So I think if he wasn't as injury prone, they might have given him another year. But the fact that they can't guarantee that you're gonna get more than 10 games out of him, I think it's right, and it sounds like he wants to go back to Brazil. His comments last week they were a bit strange about the club.
I just don't know if that's sour grapes or not. I don't really know how to read those comments. To be fair,
I think it might be worth putting them up, Dave, when we or if you can get him at what I'm talking. I can't remember what he said now, but from what I get from what he said, that is the club brought back the young players in January as almost like a stopgap when they could have gone and spent money with proven first team players, and we would have kicked on from there. That's what I took from him. I don't think he was pointing a finger at Ait-Nouri at the time, but
yeah, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, that's what.
Go on, Finn.
Sorry, Dave. Until you said that to me, Matt, in our group chat, I thought it was the sort of always playing Ait-Nouri over me, and that's the reason we didn't get Europe. So yeah, it probably is more that than him attacking Ait-Nouri.
What he said was, I've received many messages from fans saying, "Stay, Marcel." I don't think that happened personally, but winning titles is important to enter the history of the club. But without doubt, I'll remain in the memory of those fans who know Marcel for his commitment and effort. I'm not so sure. He said, I think we had a good squad. We could have easily already qualified for Europe, but I think the club's strategy in the middle of the season of putting in slightly younger players to also being able to sell them ended up conditioning our performance in the race. So do you think that was in regards to recalling players rather than signing new players?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it also sounds like me trying to cram the word counting on an essay. Like it's just it's very loosely translated, I feel. And that's what I think now. I think the fact that they brought Gomes back, they brought Giles and Sanderson to have a look at them, and then of course the latter two went off on loan, but they had the opportunity there to bring in a couple of first team players, and I think that's what he's saying, which is a bit shit for Toti because he stayed. But
yeah. I think it's a sell or let go, I suppose, to Marcel.
Yeah.
Obviously, wish him all the best. I think he's going to be one of those players maybe in 10 years. Oh, flipping it! Remember that bloke, Marcel?
Segundo Castillo.
Yeah, washout. We'll move on now to some centre halves. Finn, Yerson, Mosquera, a player that, in pre-season, everyone's like rubbing their hands together thinking, wow, this is going to be interesting. And injuries have sort of held him back. Played a little bit in the under-23s, had a couple of appearances on the bench for the first team towards the end of the season. But what do you think? For me, it's probably a loan move out next season.
I'd agree. Yeah, at the start of the season, I remember his Wikipedia changing to be professional brick wall for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and everyone getting really excited. And then hasn't necessarily stood out in those under-23 games. Looked okay in those 10 minutes against Tottenham before that sort of ruined his season from then on. So I think a loan would do him good. I think Bruno said it's sort of taken a year off his development, hasn't it? Basically, so. Whether he's still, because at that point, to be fair, before the injury, it was sort of hanging around the bench and they're really rating him. So if they keep him, I'm fine with that. But I think a loan's probably best for him at the age he is now.
Yeah, apart from being Wolverhampton's new Gallist, Matt, what do you think of Mosquera?
Matt, I was buzzing when we signed him. I remember when we did that interview with that Colombian football expert, and I went and bought an Atlético Nacional shirt with Mosquera on the back, and I was like, I'm so invested in this. But yeah, injuries have hampered his career at Wolves. So I think he needs a loan. I don't think he's ready to come in and make a difference at all. Not from what I've seen anyway.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement alone. This one's going to be quite interesting, I think, Matt. Willy Boly, again, it's such a strange season for him. Struggled to break into the team until probably after January. And I wouldn't have been surprised to see him move on in Jan. And then his handful of games towards the end of the season have probably been, on average, at best, okay. I've got to say he was very good at Liverpool. Thought he was okay at Burnley as well. But he has dropped some stinkers. What's your thoughts on him going into next season?
I'd sell him. He's got a year left on his deal when he comes back in the summer. So I'd sell him. I think he's been poor for the last 2 years, if I'm honest. The Boly that we had in the Championship and in the first season in the Prem, it's like they've swapped him over. I'd get rid of him. But he was good at Liverpool, but he's not the answer for me. He's 31 now as well. So even if you get 4 or 5 million for him, then I'd snap your hand off for that.
What do we pay for him all those years ago? Like 10 mil?
11 million.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've got our money's worth, Finn.
Yeah.
I believe he's building his own gaff in France now. I think a move to France is possibly on the cards. And if Wolves want to improve, centre back is one of the positions. that would be really a big sign of like a transition onto new things, wouldn't it, if we let him go?
Yeah, I think so. And it's another one that thankfully so far they all seem to work best for the club and for him, if that's right for him. I think he's lost a yard over those last 2 years as well, which hasn't helped. Like, I think sort of that game against Norwich where Pukki, who's been all right this season to be fair, but like the bottom place team, he sort of gave him the run around. So yeah, it's another one that'll be sort of like, thanks to the service, let's not tarnish the legacy. If he starts declining even more, move to France would be nice for him. Works well.
Yeah, unbelievable player for Wolves in his prime as well. But I think you're both right. It's probably just one of those players. Time to probably move on. Conor Coady selected in the England squad today. Finn, I thought he up until the last month or two, he had a very good season. Although maybe if our plans change and we move to a back four, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Coady. But would he be in your plans for next season?
Yeah, that's the only thing, isn't it? I think as this season goes, obviously third top scorer, obviously very influential in the dressing room as well. I'm always going to say keep him, but if you go to a back four, it just when they're saying they want to bring in this tall, aggressive, physical centre half, is that to play alongside Coady, or do they want maybe Kilman there alongside this new marquee signing? I don't know. So that's the only question if he goes to back four. But for me, I think he's invaluable. I can't see how you'd get loads, like the value you'd get for him, whether that would be worth losing from the team, if you know what I mean. You can only really think of like if Newcastle are going to play a 5 or someone like that can chuck money at him and say, right, we want him, but I'd keep him for me.
Yeah, I think as well with Ruddy going, Matt, losing 2 members of the dressing room as influential as that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. Obviously, he's adored by Wolves fans and the players too. I've still got question marks over. In the past couple of months has been awful. I mean, he's the bloke who organises the defensive line, but it's not just on him to organise that. You've got a player stepping up, but the past couple of months it's been absolutely shocking. It's been so bad, and it concerns me. I don't necessarily think he's a natural leader. I really don't. I think he's more of an organiser. And I've said this before, like, for me, a leader is someone when you go a goal down, he'll drag you back into the game. And I don't think he's that type of player. But I think it would be detrimental to get rid of him. I think what you could do is say if you switch to a back four, you obviously, for me, he doesn't feature in that, but you've still got him around as captain, but almost like we did with Danny Bart, where he's still around, but he's almost not captain. You know what I mean? When he brought in Coady as like team captain and Bart as club captain, potentially that's something you could do without upsetting him too much. But he's going to know the start of pre-season if he start playing a back four and he's sat on the bench that his days might be numbered. So he might want to move himself, but I wouldn't get rid of him.
Why not have him maybe push him slightly further forward?
Right back.
Oh, yeah.
Right
back. That is jokes. Conor Coady staying. Matt Jonny come back from injury, and I tell you what, he's had 1 or 2 games where he's been a bit shaky, but he like to use a cliche, he's been like a new signing, hasn't he?
He has. When he came on against Arsenal at the Emirates, I thought, oh my God. This bloke is running in treacle. Like, he's miles off it. But he's done really well since he come back. To come back from 2 ACL injuries, painful. And there's such a lot of rehab involved with it. He's done excellently well. I don't think, personally, another club will touch him after that in terms of wanting to buy him, because they're 2 serious injuries. And, he's had a couple of shaky games for us. But on the whole, he's been excellent. And he's posed quite a bit. I say a real goal for it. It's not hard in our team compared to everybody else. So I'd keep him, but I think he looks a lot better on the right. It's a lot more natural for me. I know he's played most of his Wolves career on the left, but I feel like you're almost a little bit imbalanced, aren't you? If you've got a right footer on the right and a right footer on the left, like, it doesn't really make much sense to me. So yeah, I'd keep him. He's 28. He's still got a few years left in him, hasn't he? So.
Yeah, got a couple of goals as well, Finn. I think consecutive games. He took the Villa one especially, extremely well. Offered a goal threat that maybe the likes of Semedo hadn't really done. I mean, I'd say keep. What about you?
Yeah, same. He was really impressive in that purple patch with the goals. And yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm only going to echo what you said. Arsenal, I was worried But since then, and bar that little murmur of bust up because he wasn't playing, you can't really say anything against him. Solid pro, can play left, right for next season. It's a keep.
Not sure as a third centre after.
Yeah, I was going to say we've even
Oh, yeah,
seen
that
him
was-
centre
that
back
was
a little
strange.
bit, but it'll be interesting to see how he goes into the plans. We mentioned him just then, Finn, Semedo. Again, towards the end of this season, had 1 or 2 injuries which have sort of, held him back slightly. But there's rumours possibly of him moving away. But a much more improved season for him compared to last year. Is he someone that you're looking to keep around?
Yeah, definitely for me. I think I echo what Bruno said a few months ago before that sort of decline with injuries. Maybe that's why I went with Hoever for a surprise player, because Semedo wasn't great to begin with and then got back to that sort of prime Semedo that we saw at Benfica and maybe the start of Barcelona. But yeah, maybe if it's that goal threat that Jonny adds that he really misses. He's just not really got that, has he? I think he got, was it the 1 goal in the FA Cup that I wasn't even there for? So I don't think I've ever seen him score a goal. It was, to be fair. So if he could do that a little bit more next season, I'd be keeping him and just hoping that's something he could add, because everything else he's been pretty good.
He had a lot of chances towards the start of the season as well. Matt got himself in some fantastic positions, and although he missed 1 or 2, one or two chances, we're thinking, hold on, like if we can get in these positions a little bit more often, we might start seeing a lot more goals from right wing back. I know you've spoke previously about interest from Atletico Madrid and so on, but would he be someone that you would like to keep around ideally?
I'd sell him.
I knew that, you could see in his eyes.
Yeah, I like him. I do like Nelson. I think this season he's been, and I liked him the season under Nuno. Got a lot of stick. I think he's been much improved since then. But if Atletico come in and offer you 20, 25 million for him, you snap your hand off, because I feel like we criminally overpaid for him anyway. And that's not his fault. That's, of course, Mendes and
what did we pay? Was it about that?
Upwards of 29, wasn't it? I think. So if they are coming for 20 million, I know has he got 2 years left on his deal, or 1 year left on his deal with an option of another 2,
Correct,
something like that, hasn't he? So, I'd extend his deal and then maybe tout him out, because the clubs will take him. He's been at Barcelona, done all right at Wolves. I would sell him, but I feel like we'd have to replace him as well, which I think we could do adequately with the money recouped.
I mean, Finn, you said keep, right? I mean, as a sort of 2 out of the 3 will put keep, but I respect and understand your comments as well, Matt. It will be intriguing, I think, with Jonny back as well to see what happens with Semedo. Moving back to the centre backs now, Max Kilman. What a season it's been for him again. Somebody who unfortunately has missed it towards the end of the season, but arguably pretty much up until maybe January, February, been one of the highlights and possibly player of the season for Wolves.
Yeah. Again, much improved this season. He didn't put really a foot wrong the season before, but his chances under Nuno were limited. Tailed off towards the end before the injury, which was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But on the whole, it was excellent. Again, it's what do you value him at, though? Because if someone's offering serious dough, then you take it. I think the common theme throughout this buy, keep, sell series is if someone offers your valuation or every evaluation, you kind of take it, don't you?
What would you say, though? I mean, he's English. You've seen Ben White, the likes of Ben White, after 1 half-decent Premier League season, go for a mad amount of money. What if someone or say Chelsea, who have been linked with him, 40 million? What are you saying?
25 million, I think. He's not had an England cap.
That's not great negotiation.
No.
40 million, 25.
If they come in with 40, knock 15 off. You've gone through a couple
20.
of bad
So
months,
someone coming in with
hasn't it?
25 million, you would seriously consider that, yeah?
I think so, and then you might want to include some other kind of performance bonuses, whether he gets picked for England or something, If we in a 5, I like him. In a 4, I'm not convinced he possesses the attributes to do so. He's quick across the ground in a straight line, but I think like either side of him, he's quite cumbersome. So I'd keep him. But I think if someone offers, good money for him, then I think they will consider it anyway. But I'd happily keep him.
Finn, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think the only doubt is in a back 4, could he cover that space like Matt's saying? But when you say, as you say, in English, left-footed, ball-playing centre-half, there's not many of them around, and we've stumbled across one that was playing 5-a-side. So it's a nice story. I kind of want to keep him, but
Respect
get big money for him. Yeah.
So what are we saying then? Keep? I mean, I would keep him. I'm not going to keep.
Keep him.
But sound. Finn, another one that sort of broke through. He'd obviously been at the club a couple of years, but been out on loan. Toti Gomes come back in January, had a handful of appearances, and to be fair, done okay in the games that he's played. We spoke about Mosquera earlier needing a loan out. Is Toti someone you would loan out, or would you keep him around for next season?
It's tough to really put him at a level of ability yet. I haven't quite got that. I mean, the Norwich game, he was the only reason that like the ticket was worth paying for like 2 tackles. That was literally the only couple of quid's value we got out of the game. So I think would I keep him around? He doesn't strike. Is he massive? Like I say, he's like 6 in a 2. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't know. When I watched him at Liverpool, I thought, maybe is he even like 6 foot, 6'1"? I don't know. So again, the question's in a 2. I know he played left back a bit for Grasshoppers as well, but I think I'd keep him around as long as he's as like a squad player. I think he'd take that from the start of this season. If you said by next season you're a squad player at Wolves, it's a decent little progression for him.
What are you thinking about Toti Gomes as a football player, Matt? Not about any of them.
I'm not convinced that he's good enough to come in and make an impact for like large parts of the season next year. I'd keep him as backup though. If he's done all right this season, but I'd like to think that probably won't be setting our sights a little bit higher for next season in terms of our first choice centre half. I think it also depends on if Boly stays, if Coady stays, if Saiss was to sign a new deal, then I would loan him out, try and bump his valuation up. But yeah, I'd keep him if he's happy being a backup.
Yeah, I would agree. I think definitely a good option to be a squad player, and I think he's at that age now where he'd take that from Estoril to Wolves within the space of a couple of years. I think he'd definitely take that. Matt, similar to the Ruddy and Marcal situation, Romain Saiss still unsure at the time of recording whether he's staying or going. It looks like he's probably going to be leaving the club. But again, is he someone that you would keep around, or are you happy to let him go?
Yeah, I'd be happy to let him go, to be honest. Yeah, he's been a good servant to the club, but I think his time's up personally.
Yeah, I think Finn, in terms of trying to, upgrade the squad, we've mentioned it a couple of times where ideally the fans would want us to go. Saiss is probably someone that we've got to improve on long term, isn't he?
Yeah, if you'd have asked me this pre-AFCON as well, I think I'd have maybe offered him a contract, but since then hasn't been great. I like his sort of general character from what you see on like videos and everything as well of the squad. So yeah, it is a tough one, but yeah, last 6 months really declined, and I think another one like Boly, it's sort of that move back to France or Spain or whatever. Could be good for him. And I guess I just like left-footed defense. It's like every like Toti, I'm like, oh, should we get rid of him? But he's left-footed. I need to start taking that out of my mind.
We've got more left-footed defenders and right-footed defenders.
I think we have. That's 3 in a row. Yeah.
We'll do some quick fire ones now. We plays at a sort of out on loan or fringe players at the minute. Matt, Dion, Sanderson, good start to the season at Birmingham. Gone to QPR. I don't think their team and club have taken to him as much as Blues did. Another loan possibly for next season.
Don't think it helped him getting sent off in his first few games for nutting someone. Don't think that's helped his cause. Take the lad out of Wolverhampton, mate, but you can't take Wolverhampton. Again, I'm not convinced on him. I know Blues fans really like him, so I'd say another loan move. I can't see him coming into the squad next season and playing much, so I'd say another loan move. See how he does, and then make a decision then.
Yeah, I mean, Finney's had a couple of decent loan spells. Did half decent at Cardiff previously, a decent loan spell at Sunderland. Sort of worked his way back up. I thought the move to Sunderland was a bit weird, especially with how well he did at Cardiff. But good start at Birmingham. Not so good at QPR, but I can't see him coming into the first team. Like, can you? Again, it'll be similar to he's never going to be a starter. So loan move makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it with Sunderland getting promoted. That could be a nice reunion
good shout,
for him, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've only just thought about that. But yeah, that could be a nice one for him. Is it the same manager that had him? I don't think it is it? That
no,
when he was doing well at Sunderland?
Two different ones, I think, since then.
Two owners. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a shout. We've probably not seen much of him. Finn, Bendeguz, Bolla at the Grasshoppers.
Up for player of the season, isn't he? Him and
Coady.
Yeah.
There's my word. There's talks of actually clubs being interested in signing him. I know the Athletic put out a report and said because of the depth Wolves have got there right now, it might be a struggle for him to break in. But he's a Hungarian international, Finn. Is it another loan move out for him, do you reckon? Maybe to, no disrespect to Grasshoppers, maybe a sort of higher reputation or higher caliber club?
Yeah, there was a big smile on my face then as well because he's been an absolute legend for me on Football Manager. I'd love to give him a go because that, but Grasshoppers has been flying for me. But whether that replicates in real life, I'm not sure. But I can't say I've seen him kick a ball in real life, but I love him. So I say give him another loan out, selling him. Whether there's any potential there, I don't know, to be honest. I'm going purely off numbers on a spreadsheet, basically.
Matt, like Finn said, would you like to give Bendeguz Bolla a go?
In the first team, no. No. I'd sell him. I'd sell him because we've had it rammed down our throats so it's sell to buy, and you might be able to make a quick, million out of it. So I'd sell it. If it makes financial sense than selling, like I said, we're stacked in those wide areas. He's done well at Grasshoppers, but I'm pretty sure we would have known about it if he was like exceedingly good, like Kipling. Yeah. So I don't know. Sell him or loan him. I'm not particularly fussed about having him back in the squad. So I'd if the money's right, sell. If not, loan.
I'll probably go with loan as well on that one. Quickly, the last two left-sided players, Matt, Ryan Giles. I think you mentioned him earlier on. Is he someone? I mean, Bruno rates him, but are you going to stunt his development, having him just as a squad player next season, or do you think it's the right time to bring him in?
Well, Bruno had him and Ait-Nouri as the same level, didn't he? He made that very clear. Don't know if that's a dig at Ait-Nouri, you know. He's just trying to motivate him, but I'd bring him back. I think that left side position is anyone's next season. We know he said how good Ait-Nouri is, and if Bruno values him at the same kind of ability as Ait-Nouri, then I think bring him back because Marcel's gone. Jonny and Semedo to push for the right wing back position. Yeah, that's if we play a 5. It all depends what formation we're playing as well.
Yeah, again, Giles Finn had a decent season at Cardiff at the time. Wolves recalled him. He was top assist maker in the Championship. Yeah. I think the moves Wolves negotiated for both Sanderson and Giles were decent because it was two teams chasing the playoffs. But again, both teams that they moved to didn't get into the playoffs in the end, and it was a little bit quieter for him at Blackburn second half of the season. What's your stance on him?
Yeah, from what I've heard on the grapevine, he's been told he's going to be within the squad next season. I think I'd do exactly the same. That left wing back, left back position is quite exciting, and the set piece delivery is the main thing that you see. Like the sort of Giles has done it again, just like we've seen with Morgan and players like that in the Championship. The set piece delivery looks exciting. Whether he's going to be on the pitch much to actually do that, I don't know, but I'm excited to see him. It's another one where you have the sort of local lad bias, and I want to see him do well. So I think I'll keep him around, and that's a healthy competition there on the left side.
Well, let's say keep. I think pre-season is probably going to be very crucial for him. I'm sure Wolves will keep him around, whether they go on a tour, friendlies, or whatever. I'm sure he'll be given a lot more game time. And finally, Finn, a player that I'm a huge fan of, done very well, like you said earlier in the under-23s, Hugo Bueno.
Yeah, we're spoiled, aren't we, in that area? From what I've seen the last few games, I don't think I've seen him not put a cross directly on someone's foot for a goal. Every single cross has created something, and if not, he's been. I think did he score against? Who was it recently?
Albion.
West Brom, was it West? Yeah, it was West Brom. Yeah, really, really impressed. On my Football Manager, he's currently Atletico Madrid, so if that's to be believed as well,
he's got a bright future.
Some
sort of bias there.
I was going to say, what do you put him in at? But no, yeah, it's an exciting one. Again, you can't have 3 players going for the same place, can you really? So one of them would have to drop out. I think, pre-season, maybe Giles and Bueno are going to be fighting for that second spot, and one of them probably be loaned out. Kind of want to keep him as well, but realistically, we can't keep all 3, can we? But I don't want to sell any of them.
I think he was with the club Matt pre-season last year, and he got a fantastic assist. I think in one of the matches.
Felix.
Yeah. And there was a really good, had a really good campaign in the 23s. I think the consensus is probably going to be to loan him out. But what sort of level do you possibly see him at? Is the Championship the right move, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think in a side that relies on width. I think he'd be excellent. He's looked really good every time I've seen him. I'd give him a new deal and send him out on loan Because what you don't want to do is send him out on loan. He's absolutely unbelievable. And he's only got, what has he got? I think he signed a new deal in August last year, 2-year deal. So give him a new contract, send him out on loan, and watch him flourish, because he's, like I said, every time I've seen him, he's been excellent.
Good plan.
And to finish off, I've just seen news that Barcelona are looking at bringing Romain Saiss in. So more of that as we get it. Genuinely.
Weren't they sniffing around him the first time? Like when we signed him, it was like, oh, Barcelona wanted him, you know?
Yeah, my word.
I reckon they've got a massive dartboard in the office, and each segment is a player who's out of contract in the summer, and they just go, bang.
Yeah.
Romain Saiss. Yeah. I'm lucky.
There we go. But guys, that is the end of our goalkeepers and defenders. Sell, loan, or keep. Let us know your thoughts on our choices in the comment section down below. If there's any other players, I think we've pretty much covered most of the relevant players that say. No disrespect to anyone we missed out there. But if there's any other players that you want us to take a look at out of the defenders and goalkeepers, let us know in the comment section down below. As always, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and stay tuned for the midfielders and the forwards part of the series. See you soon.